4 days of the Battlefield 2042 beta are over, and it's left me and many others in a state of complete confusion. I can say with absolute certainty that I have had a ridiculous amount of fun playing the game, and I simply can't wait for the full release. I can also say that the game has some massive issues that desperately need addressing before launch, but we'll start with the good bits. It's no exaggeration to say that this is the visually best FPS game I've ever played. The vehicles and guns have incredible detail, the weather effects like the tornado are truly a spectacle to behold, and even with all of this, the performance isn't too bad. I've been getting around 90 FPS running all those settings with a GTX 1080 Ti, which is showing its age in a lot of games, but not so much here. Explosions are simply incredible. The rocket being taken down is something that I'll never tire of, and every vehicle explosion feels so satisfying and realistic. Part of that does come down to the audio design, which is another thing DICE have absolutely nailed. Everything sounds so full and dynamic, and it's never been so much fun to have heli rockets shot at you, simply for the blockbuster type experience it entails. I do think as a whole I can put the plus system in here with the good bits. Obviously the fact you can change ammo type faster than reloading has to change, but apart from that it seems to work well, and it does offer up some alternative plays to different ranges. Unfortunately, here's where the praise ends. I just want to clarify that, as I said in the intro, I've had so much fun playing this game, and ultimately that is all that matters. There can be however long a list of issues, but if the time you spent playing the game leaves you wanting more, then there's really not much more to say. I'm not going to sit here listing every single small problem with the game, or I would be here for a very long time, with things like the lack of full map or scoreboard already being addressed by the devs to be making it into the full release. The same goes to the UI. Yes, it sucks right now, but I think DICE are well aware of this and hopefully well into their redesign. Instead, I'm going to talk about the big fundamental game changes I think need to happen. Let's start with the controversial specialists. I do think the specialists should be in the game, but not in their current state. A quick and desperately needed change is altering their appearance depending if they're on the US or Russian teams. Shout out to Reddit user TNYCZR for spending 30 minutes in Photoshop and coming up with these fantastic looking alternatives. I tried a few games playing without my HUD and spent most of my time shooting at teammates because figuring out who wanted to kill me was complete guesswork. Even with the HUD, I found myself panic spraying at friendlies frighteningly often. It also ruins the immersion when you have two teams of identical B-Tech Jake Gyllenhaals clustering around an objective. What's worse is that the introduction of specialists has replaced the four classes of the Battlefield franchise that we all know and love, the Assault, Engineer, Support and Recon, and by extension has practically ruined team play altogether. From a glance, you used to be able to tell who was carrying meds, ammo, repair tool, and what guns they'd be carrying so that you could use this to request any of those things, but now you have no idea who is carrying what, as there are no longer those limitations and no options to request things, but I believe that is something they've confirmed with the full game. Regardless, I think that the specialists need to be reworked into the original class system, bringing back the limits on who can carry certain equipment and what they can use. Thankfully, Reddit user Gleech_R is way ahead of me on this one and produced this chart showing the specialists falling into those categories, which I feel would undoubtedly fix the team play issue and just clear up who actually does what in the game. A final note on team play is DICE, please increase the squad number from 4 to 8. There are 64 players on each team and the maps are massive. It's a small change, but it will help immensely. Moving on to vehicles, currently helicopters are overpowered, as simple as that. The redesigned physics around the helicopters, with them now being extremely floaty and manoeuvrable, make them extremely easy to fly while putting out far more damage than ever could be considered balanced. I'm still quite confused by the missile locking system in 2042. Sometimes flares work, sometimes they don't, but with the helis, Nightbird in particular, you can pretty easily dodge missiles if you have some indication of the direction they're coming from. Jets, on the other hand, suck. I think I probably spent all of 4 minutes in the entire beta flying a jet, and for good reason. It feels like they're constantly trying to hover, presumably for some epic only in Battlefield moments, but it's extremely annoying to deal with. Turning in jets feels unnatural and slow, and the main cannon was wildly inaccurate and useless at taking out anything other than enemy jets, not that there were many, because everyone was picking the attack chopper instead. Ground vehicles seem to be in a good place. The tank and anti-air appear to be well balanced and fun to use, with the exception of the scout buggy. That thing is almost impossible to drive and needs a handling buff. Last but not least, we have the gunplay. Right off the bat, I'll say that snipers are garbage. They do next to no damage anywhere but the head, and the bullet drop is just ridiculous. In Battlefield 4, you wouldn't have to worry about adjusting for bullet drop anywhere under 100 meters, but in 2042 you may as well be aiming at the sky most of the time and praying a bullet luckily falls down onto an enemy. And side note, they've removed weapon zeroing. I can't think of a single reason why. As for the other weapon types, I think there needs to be a change in time to kill. It felt like I spent most of the time in the beta reloading, because it could take up to an entire magazine just to kill one person 30 meters away, and it would be a miracle to kill more than 2 players in a single clip. Now, it's hard to judge whether this is because of a lack of weapon damage or just the atrocious hit registration, but in its current state, there will certainly be a Warzone-esque extended mag meta, which personally I don't want to see. So on the whole, yes, it was extremely fun playing the beta, and no, I won't be cancelling my pre-order. But without these big fundamental changes that need to happen, I'm not sure how long this game will thrive for after launch. So let me know your opinions in the comments below, like if you liked, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.